Jigga Jay-Z. What? Hold me, touch me, groove me, groove me. Soon you'll understand. Soon you'll understand what's going on here. That's right. Soon you're going to get the whole picture. What's up, y'all? Hit the like button up. Yes, we will be going live for the game today. Don't worry about that. But now you need to know the truth because all this stuff has been going around with Jay-Z, Pusha T holding the chick down for Harvey Weinstein. It's been crazy. It's been crazy. I swear. It isn't that I haven't heard it. It's just that I was doing everything in the line. The boxing fight, everything was going on. I had time to get to this. So everybody's trying to get in right now. There's some stuff I'm gonna say for the Patreon because there's stuff I can't say because this is a classified situation. So in detail, we'll discuss it, but it'll be in detail on the Patreon. But as of right now, let's drop the intro and get into this. Hi, I'm Carcino. Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No one knows Carcino and none of these.
There's so much going on in the world, and I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. Nothing can take the attention away from white people more than talking about black people. Hell, Drake was the one that probably called it on him, but we'll get there. And we'll get to Drake's connection in this. We're going to get to the whole connection on this, right? Now, here's the situation involved. Now, Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein had a relationship like anybody else had a relationship with Harvey Weinstein. It was about business and films and production, as Harvey Weinstein was a producer. He wasn't Harvey's activities and anything you've ever heard about Harvey Weinstein and his activities. He never was in a concert with another person or individual being in the room, except for the person he was allegedly assaulting. Right? Never has there been a situation where Harvey and another person is involved. So right away, it's got to have you scratching your heads. But dear people, let me tell you what this is. This is a distractional play done very well by the Republican Party and the right-wing conservatives. They want to push this out in the front so that everybody would be talking about this and nothing about the actual real files that you see that's going on. Well, Jay-Z had to come to Chicago to go to court to get the rights. Well, it wasn't Jay-Z. It was actually Will Smith company, Overbrook, that did it. They actually had to come to Chicago and get the approval to make the Annie movie. Now, no, that's add the addition of Pusha T was a whole nother thing. Let me explain to y'all what's going on here. The whole thing started when multiple outlets started to report Pusha T and Jay-Z name appearing in the document described as an FBI crisis intake report. Then online, they saying Jay-Z deleted all of his social media accounts. Right then and again, they should have told you Jay-Z don't even have Instagram and Twitter. So you should already know that was bullshit. But I'm going to explain to you what's really going on here and what was really happening. See, you got to go back to the time. And you got to look at everything in the files. So when the U.S. Department of Justice, when I was going to say the Justice Department, they just proved to you that the U.S. Department of Justice is corrupt. They just exposed their hand. And they just don't care anymore. They're like, yep, we corrupt. And it's just how we operate. But here's the news. The U.S. Department of Justice, they released millions of pages, right, connected to Jeffrey Epstein investigation of transparency efforts. And they put this in there. This comes from, you know what this comes from? A phone call. All of this information comes from a phone call, ladies and gentlemen. A phone call. It's called the FBI Crisis Intake Report. If you look at everybody else they got, it comes from email connections. They have photographs. They have everything connected with everyone else. This came from a hotline complaint to the FBI about Jay-Z, a woman claiming that Harvey Weinstein was and Jay-Z both took advantage of her in a room where Jay-Z basically was holding her down while Harvey was finger banging her and all this stuff. It's crazy. And it was facilitated by Pusha T. There's no evidence of it. There's nothing. Don't you get it? Hotline. FBI hotline bling. That can only mean one thing. Everybody know who put Pusha T and Jay-Z's name in this. And that punk lives in Canada. And he called the hotline. So, no evidence, just a hotline call. In order to find out the truth, you have to go to the beginning. The phone call was placed in 2019, back in I think October. October of 2019 is when the call was filed into the FBI hotline, crisis intake report. Right? So in the FBI crisis intake report, let me tell you what happened in 2019. Jay-Z and your boy Champagne Sloppy was not getting along because of Beyonce. Right? This dude came out, basically stole from Beyonce's idea and put out an album that made no damn sense. Jay-Z, for the first time, was reported in Forbes saying that he's a billionaire as far as his hip hop status. Then he accepted the NCAA Image Award, the Presidential Award. He dedicated to his mother, his grandmother. Him and Beyonce is supporting the Joe Biden movement. And they took the 2019 GLAAD Media Awards for gay rights. Glad Media promoted Jay-Z and Beyonce. And he anointed Desiree Perez at the Rock Nation brunch. She was going to be the new CEO of Rock Nation. And the support for Sleepy Joe Biden was very evident. Oh, yeah, during that time, definitely. Now, what was Pusha T doing at that time? Pusha T was engaged in a beef with Drake that had boiled all the way over. And the Pusha T beef ended up going into the fact that Drake ended up putting out an album called Scorpion. And Drake and Pusha T were both aligned to be headlined at the Grammys. Pusha T was the biggest thing out there. Now, Pusha T hates ICE. He's been very vocal about ICE and everything else, talking about it very bluntly. As they're now the hottest thing going now. They're back up for a Grammy going up against Kendrick. So the FBI decided to find anything they got incriminating on Pusha T and use it. Oh, let's throw this out here to smear his name. Well, yeah, that was in 2018, but the Grammys was in 2019. He was nominated. So Pusha T was up there. He had just exposed Drake. So how would Pusha T and Jay-Z's name both be mentioned? Some woman called in. Now, if you ask me, this is what really happened. Champagne Sloppy had that done in 2019, calling the FBI hotline report, having some random woman call in and make a false FBI report on them so they can investigate Pusha T and all of these things and connect Jay-Z to it with Harvey Weinstein. They didn't even have no Epstein stuff going on there. It was all Harvey Weinstein. So he just put Jay-Z with Harvey Weinstein and have them have their name all jammed up in the mess. Because Push had all this momentum going on back in 2018. He was trying to destroy Jay-Z and Pusha T's career in my place. That's, in my opinion, that is exactly what happened and how they got on this list. Because the two don't even align. Jay-Z and Push was not cool in 2019. Like they were not together. In 2019, Push is hanging with Push is hanging with Kanye. If this was true, right, the FBI would have pursued it and got more common sense. So when the trial came around, why do you think these claims never came up in Harvey's trial? Jay-Z's name was never mentioned in Harvey Weinstein's trial. These are the type of moves that Champagne Sloppy makes. Plus, the story is outrageous and stupid. These are from people that have no idea about any of the claims that was made against Harvey Weinstein. They have no idea. What album was Jay-Z on? What album was Jay-Z on? I'm gonna see if you can get this one right away. Mm-hmm. Jay was friends with him, not personally. They were business partners on whenever he produced a movie and gave him funds. But yeah, they worked together. But when in Harvey's whole relationship, his Harvey and all the suits against Harvey, the only person there is Harvey. Do you realize this, right? No one else is named in these suits. When all these women have made their claims against Harvey, because it's Harvey and the woman. Harvey is not going to be doing all of his activities around other people he don't know. And he damn sure ain't finna do this with some brothers. Mm-hmm. You talking about It's Almost Dry. This is why I'm trying. This is why I asked you to tell me which album he was on. This happened in 2019. This is why I asked you that. I was waiting for you to circle around it. You're talking about that drug song that they were on, right? That was in 2022. That's why I asked you. Right. That's why I said, you said, man, they was cool. That's in 2022. From 2019 to 2022, do you know what happened? Push was no longer a part and partnered with Kanye West. He was gone. He wasn't with good music no more. Once he got away from Ye, that's when he was able to work again with yeah, that's when they got in good graces. And see, now Pusha T got to deal with Rock Nation. So now him, Pusha, and Jay are in good relations. But back then, they didn't have a problem. Yeah, Drug Dealer, that song, Drug Dealer Anonymous, I'm talking about Neck and Wrist. That's the song I'm talking about. Neck and Wrist, yeah, they were all cool back then. Then Kanye blew everything up. Remember the Life of Pablo tour? He went out there and blamed Jay-Z and Beyonce. Jay-Z, call me, man. Call me. When he had that blow up and Beyonce said, we're done with Kanye West, Jay had to fall back. So he couldn't be associated with them. See, you got to remember, I know times move kind of fast and nobody really get it. That was in 2016. So that blew up everything. So in 2019, they were not dealing with Pusha T, good music, none of them. Jay and them was not dealing with them. So that's what I'm saying. When this call was made, this had nothing to do really with Jay. This had something to do with the Beyonce and the thing was sloppy. And tying Jay-Z's name to it because Jay was attached with Push and was friends with him and was, that's what it was. Mm-hmm. They know. I believe Sloppy is behind all of it. Sloppy is the one that put that fake report out, and they put Jay-Z's name in it. There's nothing to protect. He's not in the Epstein files. See, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Jeffrey Epstein has nothing to do with Pusha T or Jay-Z. Absolutely nothing. They don't know him. Now, I will open up the door to y'all, and y'all can understand. If y'all on my Patreon, y'all really know in New York, it was private meetings. They have different places in New York that used to meet, where Harvey used to go. A lot of these people, Jeffrey Epstein, a lot of these people in this section used to go. They didn't really get along with, like, they didn't really fraternize with a lot of people in that circle. Like black people, like they saying Chris Tucker was on the plane. Of course, he was hired. A lot of people was hired as entertainment to go to the island to do comedy shows. They didn't see what was going on behind the rooms and what's really going on the island. They not there for that. They're going out for the retreat. They hire entertainment. They have chefs. They got people there. But then they go home. Like Chris Tucker, you think Chris Tucker in there while they getting down? Chris gonna be, what the hell y'all doing? Wait a minute, that's an Asian boy. What? Oh, hell no, man! Somebody better gas up the plane. Get me the hell up out of here. I ain't playing with you, man. Get on that plane. Get me the hell up out of here. What they doing to them? Oh hell no! Run, boy, run! Hey, look. I know it's a lineup. That's what I told you. It was in 2019. A lot of this is on Sloppy. I believe Sloppy's behind this. Plus, Push been coming out with his get rid of ICE, the whole movement. They went back, found anything that they have on there. Anybody believe that this dude you mean the album that's never come out that was supposed to come out like a year ago? Iceman, baby, won't you come get me? Freeze a while, freeze a while. Now, the story sounds crazy. So you're going to automatically go against the two people who were denouncing you, Democrats, and seem to be on the conservative side the least. Because I can't tell you their political affiliations, but Jay-Z is more aligned with the left. Pusha T is not aligned with Trump. So that's all I can tell you. And anybody seem to not be in line with them, they get them people put back in line. Of course you did. Let's try to put this together to tie it to Jeffrey Epstein. Notice, none of this was used in the Weinstein trial. In Harvey Weinstein's trial, none of this so-called FBI crisis intake report was ever used. Do you know why? Because it went nowhere. There's no evidence in it. If there was any evidence here, they would have used it. This is what you call a smear campaign. Now, Rock Nation, Pusha T, all together now, right? Now it's all about this file. Because they know we're kind of in this world we in right now. That's why when that movie come out, everybody needs to see it. It's called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. I'd already seen it. It come out on February the 13th. And it basically details what we are now. What was supposed to make it easier for us has also enabled us. We become very stupid. From technology to everything in the world, man, we just become more and more dumb. Dumb and dumber. Because we're believing nonsense. Here it is. Weinstein, Epstein's, all the Steens are involved. What do? They find two black people to be the face of everything. They throw two black people right on the face of the thing. Boom, Jay-Z and Pusha T. And it's all about them to distract everybody from what's in the files. Notice there's no email connections to this. There's no photographs. There's nothing. There's no interview of the person that's making the claims. Nothing in the FBI report. They got all these lies. Jay-Z took down his social media account after the claims came out. He doesn't have social media accounts. These are all lies. Right. If Jay was guilty of that, believe me, the stuff Jay is guilty of, I would have been the first to tell you. The stuff that he's guilty of is what people need to be worried about. Epstein is only a small part. He's a minnow in this situation. See, I've addressed this already, good people, and it's on my Patreon. This is why I say this is why we have a Patreon. Jeffrey Epstein was in a rich, sick cult for the elite, a psyop. Okay? He's a member. And these people don't play. And he's a minnow. That means a small fish in this situation, in this psyop. Small fish. Let me show you something. I'm going to show you a little something from my Patreon. This is from my Patreon. This place here that looks like a firehouse, that used to be an old firehouse building in New York, this was where the most wealthiest people come in to have their meetings in this psyop. Now, I'll play you a little. Let's go over these details. A lot of you guys here on the Patreon don't really understand the depths of how deep something really goes. Oh, this guy Epstein and who was on the list and all that. Yeah, y'all worrying about the wrong thing. You see, in this place, it's got antlers everywhere and symbolizing all of the things that they represent from when they do their ceremonies out in the woods. It's always the antler from this so-called thing that they worship. Now, this person here, I named these people. Okay, all of these people are involved. And you'll start to see the real bigger picture once you go on there and you see this video. This whole family. You'll find out more about who they are. Some of you may already know. These are the people that's in the PSYOP. Jeffrey Epstein is under them. Their entire families are involved in this and have been in it for thousands and thousands of years. Where, really? Oh, hundreds and hundreds of years. I can't go back to thousands, but hundreds. Now, Clive Davis, that's another mental. I'm talking about real power, real people. That's a mental. Okay, like those guys are mentals. These are the people. These are the real vicious, evil people. Now, as you can see, I've covered this on my Patreon, so all of you definitely should be Patreon members. Epstein, this is in March of 2024. Epstein is only a small part. That video alone tells you about this, right? And explain to you what the bigger part is. So Jay-Z and Pusha T would never be in that category. Anyone who would believe Pusha T would be involved in such an activity, one, that's stupid. Two, Jay is not going to risk his career to do anything of that nature. Anything Jay would have done would be back in early 90s. Back when he was in his 20s and 30s, messing with teenagers, you know, like that's the extent of Jay. Impressing teenage girls. Yeah, that's about the extent of what they do. Well, that was the thing. They never had a problem with Push. They just kept a distance from Kanye. And since Push was vice president of good music, he had to stay there. But once he severed his connection with Ye from all his crazy rhetoric, then he was able to have movement again, and they were able to get to work together again. So yeah, it was just Push album was dry. That was about it. Oh yeah, they love to say Beyonce's husband was not the only name that was there. This is an unlikely grouping to team up for a 3-man party. Period. So they wanted to basically sword his reputation and just say, hey, this is crazy. Because they know we don't read anymore. Where are all the bookstores at? They've all closing. Record stores, all closing. Many of you can't even remember a phone number. And if you're in your 40s, you remember we existed before the cell phone, where we had to remember phone numbers. It was important to remember your house number. Now, most people don't even have a house phone anymore, a landline phone. Most houses now, a landline phone, it'd be like, you crazy? Rolodex? What's that? You see? That's why I like that movie. Good luck. Have fun. Don't die. Because the whole world gone crazy with technology. It has enabled them to think. If you pull out a checkerboard right now and get these kids mostly to go and do the checker, they can't even think. They can't strategize. Everybody's in a simulation. So they go off of what they hear off social media. They don't know that these things are programs. All the TikToks, the Instagram, you're getting all this information quick, fast, and a hurry. That's like back in the Agent Orange days when they used to use the mind therapy on all the showing them images of stuff real fast. That's nothing but TikTok. That's nothing but Instagram. That's all of that is, showing you imagery fast. And then you go from, oh my God, you'll see a fight or somebody get hit by a bus and you go, oh man, that's messed up. And you flip up, the next one is a happy clown. Hey, you see a joke or something, it desensitizes you from everything. You don't have time to focus on the tragic incident you just saw. So you become desensitized to it. Somebody get hit by a bus, you be like, man, that's messed up. So yeah, so the Bears went and they drafted 3 guys. You have no empathy, no nothing. You have no connection to any of it. You don't care. And that's how the country wanted you to become. This is what technology has lured you to. They got me. You got to be on crack 9. I'm the last one they can get. And they've been trying. Tricknology. Right, but see, us who grew up in these times, a lot of it don't work on us because we remember times when it wasn't like this. You see, the others have not done that. They have not achieved any of this. They don't know what it's like. Yeah, they don't know what it's like. They grew up with cell phones. They grew up with somebody driving them to school. I was 8 years old taking the train. By 10, I was taking the bus everywhere by myself. I was by myself on the bus, knowing where to go, everything. I know about 30 phone numbers by heart. And all this technology comes and goes so quick, and it becomes a relic and forgotten about. The VCR came around in the 80s, early 80s was the VCR, right? So the VCR came around and it went just as like that. It came and went. It was around probably the longest because it became into the from the 80s to like 96. So it had about a 16-year run with VHS tapes. From 1996 on, it started to change to DVDs. And DVDs didn't have a very long run. Oh no, 85, don't forget that, buddy. We had a VCR in 82. 82, 83, we had a VCR. Yep. So DVDs from 1996 to like the 2000s, it had about a good run before it evolved to getting a DVD don't mean nothing. You need Blu-ray. So in 2007, around that time, here comes Blu-ray, the best version of it. Right when they came out with HD DVD. Now we got HD DVD. HD DVD lasted about 2 years. Blu-ray came through, and that lasted about, I say, 3-4 years. And what came after that? 4K. Forget Blu-ray, you gotta have it in 4K. So now you walk right past Blu-ray and you go and grab the 4K. And I knew this back in 2000, I want to say 2005. In 2000, no, not 2005, 2009. It was 2009. I was going to jury duty. And I went inside the jury duty place. And when I went in there, it was crazy. It was completely crazy. Because I saw Bill Gates and I read the interview. I was sitting in the waiting and stuff to go on. I'm reading the magazine. And I believe Jenna Fisher was on the cover in a bikini. And as I'm reading the magazine, Bill Gates is saying, this is 2009. He's talking about, I don't know why DVDs are still in existence. This is what he's saying. He's like, I have a television right now. I just put, which now we know as a USB flash drive. We know it as a flash drive. He just says, I put a microchip right in my television and I have thousands of movies. Thousands. Why are we putting, he's like, disk has so much limited space. Why are we not using a microchip? I can store thousands and thousands of movies. Full-length movies, quality, all the same, on a microchip. Why are we still using, like, he don't understand. Like, why are we still using disk? There's no need for it anymore. That is a dead technology. That was in 2009. I knew then. I said, if Bill Gates got that on his television in 2009, I knew to get out. I knew to get out of the Blu-ray and the disc era right then and there. If anybody didn't know it was time to get out, that's when it was time to get out. And they say, why you don't pay attention to the wealthy 1%? I was like, I'll always pay attention to what they say because they're They're not trying to condition the world. They don't care. They're already billionaires. Nothing's going to affect them. So when they're saying it, they're not thinking of the big picture. They're not thinking of they're finessing you. They're not thinking of that. So they were finessing everybody to buy these 4K and Blu-ray. They still trying to pull it down. I haven't bought a 4K or anything in a long time because it's all on streaming. It's all on streaming now. Now you don't even need the microchip. They just beam everything to you. I only buy something in case I want to watch it when I want to watch it. Because see, when you stream, you're at their mercy. You might say, hey, man, I got all these movies. Nope, they took it away. What? They took it down? Why would they do that? Well, they decided they don't want to, people not watching it. They took it down. Then you're like, well, damn, I want to watch that right now. Now you can't. So that's the only reason I go and buy something if it's a classic. And I just want to say, hey, maybe one day I want to pop this in and watch it. Like The Wolf of Wall Street. I was watching that the other day. So exactly. So when you start thinking about the changing of the times, we're in an era now where these young kids grew up with, they didn't grow up in the record player and the 9-inch black and white television sitting on top of the floor model television. They don't remember those days because they didn't grow up in it. And that wasn't that long ago. I'm not that old. We didn't grew past the cassette tapes, the 8-track cassettes, the CD players, to now we stream music. Now the cars don't even come with a cassette player or a CD player. You can only stream the music to the car. Now I got CDs I can't even play. Yep. We went from the pagers to the car phones to the cell phone. I had all three. I had a car phone. I used to plug it in the cigarette lighter, and it's just like a cell phone. You buy minutes. If minutes was expensive. So I had to really talk to somebody. It was like for emergency situations only. Yeah, so it was like I had a phone because I had a phone in the car. So I would just plug the phone right in the cigarette lighter and can call people in the car when I'm moving. And they was like, dude, how'd you do that? He said, I was too broke for that in the 90s. I got that phone from my grandfather, who we got it from a bet. We won that in a bet. And my grandfather got it. And I had picked the Bears beat somebody. And then he was like, you think they going to do it? I was like, yep, they going to win that. And we ended up getting that phone. And then my grandfather had it. He didn't know what to do with it. The dude didn't have the money. He gave him a phone. It was like a Panasonic. It had the strap on the side. And then the numbers is on the top. You could lift it up, hang it up, all kind of stuff, man. It was great. But mostly anybody who had that back in the day was considered drug dealers. They even had the backpack phone, like one that said it was like a backpack. It was a phone on the back with an antenna up. It was crazy. Then the Motorola was like the first one. In like 94, we had those. Everything was analog. Wasn't digital yet. There was no text messaging. Text messaging didn't come to later, much later. So, yeah, remember you had to read pagers upside down to get the hidden messages? Like 143 was I love you. You had to know codes for everything. You see 143 in the pager, that means I love you. No, I used to receive those, brother. I didn't send those out. Yeah. Yes. I remember the Nextel phones. The church, they came in there. Those were the most annoying phones ever. He said, you can still order a pager, a beeper. I don't want a beeper. There's no need for it now. Yeah. So all of those people now can get fed information. They could feed you this information about Jay-Z. They could feed you the information about Push. They could feed you all of this information. All they got to do is release it on the news, and people believe it. Jay-Z was in there with Epstein, man. They were getting down, man. It was Weinstein, Epstein. Do you know how many times this was brought up? Oh, I believe Sloppy got a lot to do with it. Well, just because of the public embarrassment and the way that he moves, I bet he was a part of having somebody anonymously call FBI hotline to try to put allegations on Jay and Push. But it shows you how wild they are, man. It shows you they goals. Yeah, it released the real truth behind the situation. Jay-Z is foul. We know he's foul. He's foul in dealing with people as far as ripping them off, taking their publishings and things of that nature. But to be in this wickedness that they have here from what they put in this crisis hotline crap, this is not really part of the Epstein files. If you watched and looked at the files like I did, most people are not going to look at the files. I want to see and know what's going on. So that's why I look under the hood. I don't just buy the car without looking under the hood. I want to know what's going on. You see, Sloppy to sabotage Push back in 2019. Remember, Push was nominated with Daytona, and right when that happened, after Daytona, they was nominated for the Grammys. They went through the beef, the back and forth. After Drake responded to Daytona, he had the Duppy freestyle, and he came with that story of bullshit, that 80 thing that y'all like so much. Then it was Drake is hiding a child, and all of this came out, and Drake is like, he started doing interviews everywhere. I don't even want to deal with this dude. So in 2019, all of a sudden, here comes this story, this phone call that was made in 2019 involving Pusha T. Pusha T, when him and Jay at that time wasn't even communicating. So that's crazy. All right, it's anonymous complaints. So when people call in and make anonymous complaints, it was never followed up on. Epstein had a trial. That's what I told him. I'm like, dude, if this was something there, They're investigating Harvey Weinstein at that time. So if this was going on with Harvey Weinstein, why did they investigate that? Doesn't it seem odd to you that Jay-Z has been one of the biggest supporters of the left in 2019? That's when he became a billionaire in Forbes, and he had amassed a lot of power. That came in 2019. Who would be very offended by that? The right, the conservatives, right? They would be very much offended by that. Jeffrey Epstein had nothing to do with this story whatsoever. Do you know our federal government talked about weapons of mass destruction to go in and invade Iraq, and there was no weapons of mass destruction, but they had all this intel supposedly there and anonymous sources? Do you know they went in their own office in the White House and asked around who wants to be an anonymous source? An anonymous source is going to lead you to go with weapons of mass destruction. Then, how many of y'all know that people were fired behind that after it was all said and done? Saddam Hussein was hung, everything else. Everything was masked because we were just there to steal the oil. Everything was a mask, like we're freeing the people. Same thing we're seeing now, right? When we're doing what? We're there to do what? Steal the oil. So, Operation Iraqi Freedom. They always dress it up to make something look patriotic, to do something demonic. None of this evidence that I just said was used in Harvey Weinstein's trial. Believe me, they would have brought this whole story would have been brought up in the trial. You're investigating Harvey Weinstein. Jay-Z's name comes up. That's a big name. You wouldn't bring that up. Pusha T, that's a big name. That's a name that's out there. But Pusha T has been against ICE. You've seen him, all his posts about ICE, take ICE down, F ICE. I don't even think he like Ice-T and Ice Cube no more now. The way Push been talking about ICE. So now, here's Pusha T. Okay, let's link these two together. Who wouldn't know Pusha T and Jay-Z together? Conservatives, the same people that would bring Nicki Minaj on the stage, not knowing Nicki Minaj and her being with Turning Point was ridiculous. Trump is trying to get everybody into these Trump accounts and use Nicki Minaj for that. But we'll get into that later. Right? Well, there's inaccuracies and, things that don't really make sense because people haven't done any reading in the process. Like I told you, people don't read no more. The government can implant and you just run with it. So it's got to be true. So they was like, was Drake named in this? Some people saying Drake name was thrown around in this too. What about Eminem? Do y'all realize that none of this is a part of anything? Now, if you go to the justice.gov, go to justice.gov, and they say, what? If you go on the Justice Department list, right, it says this production may include fake or falsely submitted images, documents, or videos, as everything that was sent to the FBI by the public was included in the production that is responsive to the act. Some of the documents contain untrue sensationalism claims against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and if they have a shred of credibility, the certainty would have been weaponized against President Trump already. That is what they put in the doggone Justice Government letter, saying that if there was anything to it, they would have used it and weaponized it against Donald Trump. Same thing here. If this was anything in this doggone Jay-Z and Pusha T and Weinstein, they would have weaponized it against Biden. They would have weaponized it against Harvey Weinstein. They would have weaponized it a long time ago. When Tony Busby was doing his thing, they would have weaponized this a long time ago. So I'm imploring that all of you guys learn how to think and apply all of this information that you're learning for yourselves, because it's only going to get wild from this point on. From this point on, it's only going to get wild. Oh, believing in Sloppy? Sloppy is a savage. This is the guy that's got a lawsuit with fake information all through the lawsuit that he knows is fake. He had a legal lawsuit, which he's trying to take back to court so he can lose even more millions of dollars. Exactly. They know without a shadow of a doubt, Pusha T is innocent. Jay-Z is innocent of this whole case. Harvey Weinstein, in no case that he's ever had, was in concert with another individual in none of his assault cases. In none of the claims, Harvey was by himself. Harvey didn't want witnesses. Harvey didn't want any of these things. But most of the cases, Harvey didn't have to. And let's stop acting like these women were so innocent. This is another thing too. A lot of these women knew about Harvey, went there and cut a deal with Harvey. They cut a deal. It was like, okay, now if you do this, I want to be nominated for an Oscar. I want that Oscar. And Harvey would make it happen. This person wanted a whole movie role and got it. This person became a multi-millionaire because of Harvey. Got $2 billion franchises. Was one of the main stars of $2 billion franchises. Harvey said, look, just keep doing what you're doing, keep giving it up, and I got you. I got you 2 movies. You ain't even got to audition. You got it. 2 these are going to be sequels. They're going to continue. And you're going to get paid in each one of them. Massive. You got Hunger Games and you got X-Men. Both of them. I do? Yep, you do. They're going to be huge. Big budget film. They're going to be sequels. You're all in. So when you find out all of these things that's going on in Hollywood, it's crazy. Oh, don't worry, Corey. We'll be going live for the game. Don't believe that. Believe that we gonna be here for that. This one. This is what the league agenda is. To push these damn niggas. Now, y'all got a tough game up against the Clippers. I think that's tomorrow night. Y'all got to go to LA and play the Clippers. That's gonna be a tough game. Well, the thing is people be reaching, dog. They really do. Now we got stuff that we didn't expand on in this video that we're gonna use on the Patreon. So nobody is covering Drake and the champagne sloppy when it comes to them lawsuits with Stake and all the stuff he's going in. But all of the stuff that they got going on over there and all of the stuff they talk about, the arbitrage and everything that's happening. Oh yeah. I remember what's the name? Screwface Young Gene. Yeah, and when he said, I ain't gonna lie, I thought they was starting to he said, I'm starting to think they know, these rappers that they keep making these invalid claims. They literally, anyone could be made and calling into a hotline anonymously because they know it would muddy the waters and making it harder to figure out what's real or not. And they know we'll all talk about that, distracting people away from the real problem and the people in government and things of that nature. And they want that distraction by using black celebrities. All right, it's not going to be a I got you moment. They need some system of verification going on before they start crucifying people, including Champagne Sloppy. And we need to find out more about these victims and people getting wrongfully named in this stuff. The rapper, the professional athlete, the entertainer. See, this is the part we got to get away from. If you look at any other race, when they talk about world leaders and the people who are world leaders for them, they're never professional athletes, actors, or entertainers. When they look at world leaders for white people, they are not looking at Leonardo DiCaprio or Tom Cruise or Tom Brady. They don't look at Tom Brady to be their world leaders. What are you talking about? Black world leaders? They got Spike Lee, Denzel Washington, Jay-Z. It's like, what? Are you crazy? Right. They had Eminem name, Marilyn Manson. They had sloppy name thrown around. It's like, let's just throw names in there because this is not about the Epstein files. If they kept it really about Epstein and the real file, they're like, let's put all this stuff out. Even garbage calls to mask and muddy the waters. This is why it take all these millions of files. It would have took probably about 2 months to go through all of the files with all of the agents that they had going through there to redact whatever they needed to redact, right? Right. I can't really go through the claims without, I'm not, even though they put it out there in the public, and like what all we did, we gonna do that on the Patreon, which comes on right after this video. That's when we gonna go into that. Yeah, there's an unverified intake tip hotline that mentioned Eminem, Marilyn Manson, Epstein, Diddy, all of these random people calling the FBI hotline, anonymously. These are anonymous calls. But do you hear them mentioning Eminem's name? Is Eminem name trending? Or did you see Pusha T and Jay-Z? And you go see Pusha T and Jay-Z because they're black. And we know it now. And everybody is talking about Happy Black History Month. Really? You let white folks tell you when to celebrate Black history. That is amazing. That is amazing. I never understood that. How you gonna delegate Black History to a month? Well, we got Latino History Month. When? I'd be like, you can celebrate Black History Month. I can celebrate Black History every day I walk around. Black history is world history. It's world history. We're the oldest living people on the planet. Mm-hmm. Well, we could do it. We could do it like this. We'll use Google. White people came around in the 17th century. 8,000 to 20,000 years. 10,000 years, Cheddar Man. European hunters gathered like Cheddar Man. They were darker. Ancient Europeans were darker 10,000 years ago. So white people didn't come around until the last 8,000 to 20,000, right? 17th century. So I'm not just saying it and making it up just because I'm black. Well, let's look at black people. Black people go back 1.2 million years to 2 million years ago. 200,000, 300,000 years old. This is from their own. This is from their own stuff. Black man didn't invent Google. You can Google all this. Look, lighter skin tones didn't evolve until 1,200 years later. Looked at as a sickness. You ain't got to believe me. That's what they say. So the reason why we're the most hated is because we were chosen people. See, when you're the chosen people, you're always going to be the hated. People always who don't have what you have, they're the haters. You possess something that they don't have. You think there's a coinkydink, some coincidence why we're better athletes? We can jump out of the gym. You know, I think they'll be quite upset to see the majority of us, walking around with forearms for our third legs, and they got a pinky finger, they would be very upset about that. People are very upset that we look young forever. And they get old, they crack up, they all hunchbacked, and they walking around. It's just sad. And they got to use all this stuff just to go out. They got to get sunblock. They got to block the sun to walk out there, and we don't need it at all. The sun is our ally. You would be kind of pissed off too. They were born with a tail. All right, y'all go way. Okay, hold on. Let's get back to the claims. Thank God for my melanin. Yeah, what they call melanin is really the X chromosome. They can't manufacture it. It's unknown. That element is unknown. That's the chromosome they can't duplicate. They've tried and they cannot. But we possess it in our DNA. They just call it melatonin because they don't know what it is. It's not on the charts. Did you see the movie Prometheus? Do you see what they call that black goo that ended up creating all the aliens and all that stuff that they was using? That's melatonin. That was the elements of life. It would tear down and rebuild something anew. Don't you remember the opening scene when they had that pale skinned man walk out there and he swallowed that black goo and he broke down in the water and then it started to rebuild him? See, the movies be telling you things that they know in real life. Y'all will go, man, that's a great movie. But you don't know that these are real stories that happened in Egyptian times and before Egyptian times, before that it was even known as Egypt, the kingdom of Kus. Well, and you subscribe. Make sure you check your notifications and make sure you got all. So anyway, we're gonna get really into this because we getting way off course and we getting to go ready to go into a biblical situation that we don't need to get into because there's things that predates the Bible and people does believe the Bible is the beginning of everything. It's the telling of the new world. That's the new beginning. When Genesis come, when God was remaking the earth. Because there are events that happened way before that. And if you read the Bible, you can see it. They talk about it. They talk about the kingdom of Baal. They talk about all of that. How do you think they were people in Nod? How do you think Cain got a wife? It didn't come, she didn't come from Adam and Eve. So if they were the first two people on earth, they would have replenished the entire planet. You never think about that? There's plot holes right away in the story, and it don't nobody people just go along with it like it don't make sense. How is that the place of Nod? Why was Cain scared to go out there and saying, "Hey, man, them people might harm me"? You know, if I go out there, who y'all supposed to be the only people on earth? Who gonna harm you? And God was like, "Don't worry, I'm gonna put a mark on you so people will know not to touch you." He was like, "All right, cool." So he had to get out the Garden of Eden. Right. Adam and Eve both had to get kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Well, you have to learn about where Hades is. You ever heard of Hades? The place that Hades is a town, but they call it a town, right? That was built way underground. They thought, man, it's somebody as hot as Hades in here because it was built underground. They was like, it's close to hell as you can get. The people, because of what happened with asteroids hitting the Earth and splitting of the Earth, people had to, and they called it an act of God. God struck down the kingdom of Baal. This is way before the Bible. There's a time before the Bible was written. All this stuff is underwater. Asteroids rained in from the sky to crush the kingdom of Baal. So it was like God was striking down Baal and his kingdom as he was conquering lands, him, his brothers, all of them. They was wild. So during that time, the kingdom of Baal was destroyed. But there was people that worshiped and believed in Baal if he was a god. This is mentioned in the Bible. Baal's name is mentioned in the Bible, and they never really go into reference about him. But you got to know that if you listen to the story and read the Bible, you know that there's another book before it. And you was like, well, there's a lot missing here. Oh, absolutely. Go on and check that out, man. No, Earth wasn't livable. The planet wasn't, we had to go underground to survive. The people moved underground. Some people survived staying up on the land, and they became savages with no food. So they began just feasting off each other, everything. It was crazy. They became like almost like living plague of people. So everybody was running for shelters and going in caves and everything, trying to survive. Kingdoms and stuff was flooded. Sea levels got high with the asteroids hitting the earth. We built underground tunnels to go way deep underneath and build towns, houses, everything. We lived deep underground, surviving from underground rivers, water flowing underground. Then, when it was safe to go back up, the tribe sent 2 representatives to go up there and live in the Garden of Eden. God chose 2. Adam, from the tribe of Adam and the tribe of Eve. They sent Adam, they were named Adam and Eve after their tribes. The tribe of Eve and the tribe of Adam. They was chosen to live in the area that was rebirthing, and the grass was growing again. Tree, what they call the tree of life, was the first tree back, since the asteroids came and destroyed everything. The world was fixing itself. And God said, this is where we're going to redo everything. And y'all was the chosen people. We were the chosen ones. We were chosen to live there. All these people wanted to get into that Garden of Eden. They couldn't, protected by God. And they wouldn't dare come near the Garden of Eden. So as long as you stayed in the Garden of Eden, you ain't had no worries. So they had to be manipulated out of the Garden of Eden. So there were people already living there because there was always people on earth. They had the people, what they call Nod, the people of Nod. they already had a town, a name, everything. People of Nod. They lived in a cave making weapons. So believe me, there's things that pre-exist the Bible. The Bible is the of the telling of the new start. The new start that started from that point on. So I'll see y'all on the Patreon. We'll talk more over there. like I told you, I know world history. So I you got to learn the world. You got to search for information. We don't do that anymore. I had a very vast education growing up. The chat is full of Drakeys. Oh, for champagne sloppy, yeah, that's what it is. They like sloppy. He said encyclopedia, what? Encyclopedia Britannica? Yeah. So I appreciate you, Chris. I'll see you over there on the Patreon. We're gonna get deeper into stuff I couldn't talk about here. Imagine all the stuff I just did talk about. Let's talk about the stuff I couldn't talk about. So we gonna have to talk about that on the Patreon. So I'll see y'all over there on my Patreons. Y'all know what time it is. I'm out.